Today we have a Yamaha YC-45d. This thing is a beast. I'll probably have to break this up in a couple segments here. Show you the overall. And we had this apart, so I'll show you inside of this thing, which is nuts for a combo organ. These are your sound cards. As you can see, there are plenty of them and a ton of wiring. Here's your top board. This thing must have took forever to wire. They listed at $3,000 back in the 70s. This is your final bottom layer. Quick little thing. Neat thing I hadn't seen before, they actually included a kickstand here to hold up your bottom keyboard like a car hood would be. So close this all back down. And we'll start over here. This thing is neat because you have presets. This is the preset 1 and 2 button. You have a touch mute and attack mute keys. You have the knobs off of it, but you have a manual or pedal for your bass, which would be this bottom bass set here. You could use an optional pedal, and that turns it on to the pedal or the keyboard here. You have vibrato speed. These little tabs have little notches in them, so they have preset areas. You can use them in the middle too, but they have preset areas. You have vibrato speed, touch vibrato. Let me show you this line here. This is your upper keyboard settings. What we're going, you can see this top white line. You have touch vibrato, trombone 16, Kenya 16, trumpet 8, Kenya 8, string, and bright. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that keyboard incorrectly. We have a 16, 8, 5 1/3, 4, 2 2/3, 2, 1 3/5, and 1 as your sound tab settings. You can put a fuzz, a marimba, an attack for the 1 1/3. You have a percussive setting. You have the length of the percussion, the 16, 4, 2 1/3, and 1 footings for the effects of it. A piano, harpsichord, and vibraphone. As you can see, this thing has just about anything you want on it. This was kind of a king of the combo organs for the day. On the lower keyboard, you have a bright, 16, 8, 4, 2 2/3, 2 foot range, that's your sounds. And you have a bass section. For the bass keys, you can control the sustain. You can put a 16, 8, tromba, and bass guitar for the sound settings. And you have a portamento, which is this slide bar here. It's a ribbon. You just touch it. And the settings for that are auto mute, which is kind of like a wah-wah type thing, a slide trombone, squawk, birds, and astro. This is your power switch and your light, which you can't see because it's not on at the moment. You have a attack glide, a slow, marimba speed for fast and slow, and then down here you have a upper sustain, which goes to your upper keyboard, controls sustain, and the upper 8 and 4 touch response. And the sustain is on the 8 and 4. Coming back over here, you have a pitch control, which is for tuning, your upper sustain for your upper keyboard, volume is the volume for that, bass volume, which controls the volume for your bass knobs, or your bass keys, which are the black ones down here. And you have a manual balance, which controls the sound in between your top and your lower keyboard. It blends the two if you want one louder than the other. And of course you have a master volume. Okay, coming to the top of these keys, these are your presets, which is kind of neat for the time. You have all your sounds you can see. They're just abbreviated for your sounds I just read, like bright and 16/8 and your strings and whatnot. And you have 1, and then if you come over here, you have 2. So that gives you 2 different sound settings here. So really you kind of get, in a sense you kind of get 4 settings, because if you turn it on you can quick set a sound you want up here and a quick set over here. And you can come over here and use these preset buttons for your 1 and 2 and turn it on and off, so you get a quick sound change. It can be completely different. This thing is an absolute beast. Weighs about 135 pounds. Not the picture there. And I will tie this together hopefully with a video showing you some of the sounds before it gets returned to its owner. Today we have a YC-45d model by Yamaha. Most people refer to it as the YC-45. See, this is a very large instrument. I believe it weighs about 135 pounds. It has 2 keyboards and a bass section, all with individual sound settings. So we'll start up here at the top. Just to focus in here, okay? And first thing we have, all the sounds are off, so you can't hear anything. Trombone, 16. Kenyer, 16. Trumpet, 8. Kenyer, 8. String, 4. All the sound settings down. These settings are only for the upper sound settings. As you can see, this bar up here, you have this white line here shows you all the settings you have for the upper keyboard. And we'll turn these off. These are your normal settings, your 16 foot. Very nice round deep bass. 8 foot. 5 1/3. 4. 2 2/3. 2. 1 3/5. 1. And all your sound settings down. Turn it down a little bit here. And you have a bright control too. That dramatically changes the way they sound. And we have a vibrato. This is the slowest speed setting. And the fastest. And sort of in the middle here. So you have a lot of variation just with that so far. We'll leave these down. The next setting will be fuzz. No fuzz. And fuzz. It's pretty cool little harsh sound you can make. You have marimba. Turn it back up a little bit. That's a real neat little effect. Something a little different than what's on most organs. You have an attack 1 1/3. And you also have a whole percussive section to go along with that same type of feel. So we'll turn the length all the way up is your shortest, and all the way down will be your longest length. So your first one is your 16 on the shortest. So it basically just kills the decay on it. And 4, 2 2/3, and finally 1. We'll put them all down here. And your length all the way down, that'll be your longest. And somewhere in the middle here. And another click up. And shortest again. So that's a neat little effect. We have piano, harpsichord, vibraphone, so you have a pretty good array of sounds on your upper octave. And your upper octave also supports a sustain. If you come over here and click this, it'll pull on your sustain. And you do have a volume for it also, so you can control how much you want. So I'll just turn it all the way up right now. And we'll turn all these footings down here. Let's go ahead and turn all this crazy stuff on. Some of this off here. This will just be your main settings here. Turn a little bit more off. So the stains, it goes pretty well. This is about halfway. Turn off some of these. That's just a little bit. And again, full on. You have a large amount of sustain you can add on to there. Okay, your next settings is for your lower keyboard, which is this second one. And we'll start off with just the 16. And 8. 4, 2 2/3, and finally 2. And this again, you have a bright control, so you can change the sound. This will be with it all the way on. And we'll put all the feet down. That's with the bright all the way bright, and that's with it all the way off. So you can, the bright changes a fair amount also on this one. The next tab section is for your bass. You have these control it, and it is just for this section right here, which is your lowest note. First we'll turn 16 on. Really good bass. 8. Tromba. bass guitar. And we'll turn back to 16, and you can turn the sustain on. And 16 and 8 mixed. Very good bass section. Next we have a portamento section, which are these controls right here, and it controls this bar right here, which is a touch sensitive. It's pretty much like a ribbon controller. And the first one you have is auto mute, which is kind of like a wah. It's an effect to put on it. So we'll start with the slide trombone. Turn down the volume a little bit here. Next one is squawk. Next one is birds. And then finally astro. And that's all the sounds for that. We'll have to make another tape here. Okay, so we left off here with astro, which in my opinion is one of the cooler sounds of it, but I guess you probably can't use it for everything. So we'll try the auto mute with the slide trombone. So, and the auto mute with the squawk. See, it's just kind of like a wah wah, auto wah. Auto mute with the birds. And auto mute with the astro. And just for fun, we'll turn them all on except for the auto mute. And of course you can mix these any way you want to, so you can turn the astro down and the other ones up a little bit. So that's a pretty neat little gimmicky thing. And the next thing about the organ that makes this one kind of unique is the preset tabs. You have 1 and 2 presets, and they control where they're pretty much copies of all of these, and they're just put up here with little switches. You can hear the little click in between them where you can set the pre-and out sets. And then if you come on down here, you have a preset 1 and 2 tab for it. So right now our upper keyboard has just the 4 and 8 tab settings, but the preset is a little bit different. So if we hit preset 1, it bypasses this and goes to where the preset is, so you can make some quick changes. And same thing for the 2. Right now, well, nothing's on it now, so we'll turn on some of these tabs here. And then we go down here to preset 2. So that's pretty neat that you can control 2 different sound settings. It's kind of important for this time period, and it kind of makes it where you can have 4 different settings, which makes this organ unique amongst the other ones. The other controls are pretty normal. You have your bass, and you can have a pedal, an optional pedal, or you can have the manual, which is what the keyboard is, and right now it's set to the manual, of course. Pitch is just kind of like a tuning thing. And upper sustain controls the sustain amount on your top keyboard, which we've discussed that a little earlier. Bass volume controls the volume of just the bass section here. And then you have a manual balance, which is the balancing between the 2 keyboards volumes. All the way to the right brings up your lower one, and then all the way to the left brings up your, well, excuse me, all the way to the left brings up your bottom. And all the way to the right brings up your top volume. So pretty much leave that in the center. And you have your master volume too, which of course is just the volume of the entire organ. So that's pretty much this organ. It has a lot of neat sounds on it, and I'd say it's pretty well worth it if you can find one in nice condition. This one, everything works now, and got a nice little cool ribbon bar and nice casing. We'll get back a little bit and show you all of it. Sunlight. I had to bring this in from the workbench. And of course you have your on and off as normal. Thank you for listening and hope you have a good time.